Hi everyone, let's start lecture 7, which is about forecasting Supreme Court decisions. In this case, we'll apply a classification and regression trees and also random forest method. This lecture will be presented in 4 parts, and this is the first part. On the course map, we are done on introduction, linear regression, and also application of logistic regression. And now we are in the category of card or classification and regression trees, and also random forest methods. So in this category, we will have 2 cases in lectures 7 and 8. So now we are in lecture 7, and we are going to apply the card and random forest methods to forecast the Supreme Court decisions. Okay. Let's first have a background on the American legal system. In the American legal system, we have 2 levels, state level and the federal level. So in the federal level, the courts will hear the cases beyond the scope of state law. Okay, so in the federal level courts, we have 3 types of the court: district courts, circuit courts, and Supreme Court. In the US, we have 94 district courts and 13 circuit courts and 1 Supreme Court. So the district courts will make the initial decision, and then in the level of circuit courts, they will hear the appeals from the district courts, and at the end, the Supreme Court, which is the highest level, will make the final decision. Okay. In the United States, the Supreme Court consists of 9 justices, and the justices are appointed by the president. And so the Supreme Court usually decides the most difficult and controversial cases, and the decisions made by the Supreme Court usually have significant consequences on the social, political, and economics. Okay, so in this picture we see the justices from 1994 up to 2004, and we're going to talk about these justices in our case in this lecture. Okay. If we want to mention some of the notable decisions made by the Supreme Court, the first one could be the Roe versus Wade in 1973. The Supreme Court decided to legalize abortion, which prompted a national debate that continues today, and still we see debates in US about the legalization of abortion. The second one could be the case of Bush versus Gore in 2000. And so in that year, again, Supreme Court decided about the outcome of presidential election, which was in favor of Bush. And the third one could be the National Federation of Independent Business versus Sebelius in 2012. So this case actually is called the Obamacare, and so Supreme Court decided to set the requirement that individuals must buy health insurance. Okay. Predicting Supreme Court cases, usually the legal, academics, and political scientists make predictions about the Supreme Court decisions from studying the details of the previous cases and individual justices. But in 2002, Andrew Martin, a professor of political science at Washington University, decided to build a statistical model from the data, the historical data that we have to predict the Supreme Court decisions. And so he, together with his colleagues, decided to test this model against a panel of experts. Okay. Martin used a method called classification and regression trees, or CAR. So here we may have a question that why he didn't use the logistic regression, because here we see that the outcome variable, I mean the decision made by the Supreme Court, could be 0 or 1. For example, 1 would be the reverse of the decision made by the lower level court, and 0 would be the affirm, right? So here, yeah, we have a category called um, outcome variable, and we may have the question, okay, why we don't use the logistic regression? So here are the reasons. In logistic regression, usually we cannot interpret the solution made by, I mean, the outcome made by the model, right? And we have the coefficients, and although the coefficients show us the importance and relative effect of the variables, but still we cannot explain that how the decision is made, right? But in this case, in Supreme Court cases, we need to explain how the decisions are made. So because of that, in this case, the card method, classification and regression trees would be more appropriate than logistic regression. Okay. The data set that we have in this case study are about the cases from 1994 through 2001. So the reason that this data set has been considered is this. In this period, we have same 9 justices. So here we have the name of the justices, and this is a rare data set because it's the longest period of time, I mean 7 years in over 180 years that we have the same set of justices. Okay, so we will focus on predicting Justice Stevens' decisions. So Justice Stevens started out moderate but became more liberal. Okay. In this data set, the dependent variable or outcome variable would be the Justice Stevens vote to reverse the lower court decision. So 1 would be to reverse the decision, and 0 would be to affirm. Okay, so the independent variables that we have here are these ones. So circuit court of origin, as I said, we have 13 circuit courts in US, so circuit courts 1 up to 11, and then DC and the Fed. The issue area of the case, for example, the civil rights or federal taxation, and the type of petitioner or type of respondent, for example, the US or an employer, and ideological direction of lower court decision, for example, conservative or liberal, and whether the petitioner argued that a law or practice was unconstitutional. Okay, and here we see the list of the variables. So the docket would be a unique identifier for each case, and then the term, the year of the case, the circuit. I explained this in the previous slide. So the issue and also the petitioner and the respondent, and the lower court, I mean the ideological direction, and I mean whether it's unconstitutional or not, and the outcome or dependent variable as the reverse. So value 1 would be to reverse, value 0 would be to affirm the decision made by the lower court. Okay.